All right. Hey, this is Sid Owsley from the Determination Determines Destination podcast, the 3Ds to Success. Determination determines destination, where we share stories of people who use the 3Ds to success to overcome obstacles and challenges in their life. And today I have with me Mr. Travis Johnson. Travis is the host of the Nonprofit Architect podcast. Travis also shares his perspective as the former Vice President of Books by Vets, a board member of the Shine Foundation. Travis has donated over $30,000, volunteered over 1,500 hours, raised more than $500,000, helped start 6 nonprofits. He's an event coordinator and published author. Travis is currently serving as an active duty officer in the United States Navy, married with 2 children, and on move number 50. His humble beginnings include 36 moves before graduating high school at age 17, 6 states, 5 foster homes, and surviving 2 murder attempts. Although this was very rough, there was always a person, group, or church willing to help him and his family. Now that he's in a position to give back, he's made it his mission to help the helpers. Welcome, Travis. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Anything else would be a lie. How are you doing, Sid?
I'm doing fantastic too, man. It's always great to be able to say that you're doing fantastic. And it's great to have you here today to share your story. And I would love for you to tell us how you use what I call the 3Ds to success: determination determines destination to overcome obstacles and challenges in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. The most beautiful thing about what we have here in this human experience, especially in America, is we get the ability to choose what we want to do, who we want to be, how we want to behave, who we want to be around. Right. And you might be thinking right now, Travis, I can't just choose to be around Matt McConaughey or Denzel Washington right now. Maybe not today, but you can choose to take the steps to get there.
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't matter where you came from, what struggles you have in your life. You get to choose the mindset you want to use. You want to choose who you get to hang around. You're going to choose how to spend your time. You get to choose all of those things. There's a reason Lamborghini doesn't advertise on TV, because their customers don't spend any time watching TV.
Right.
You get to choose how you're going to spend each and every day, what you're going to put your mind at, what you're going to do, how you're going to take care of your body, mind, soul, and spirit. And that's a huge part of my life and how I got to where I am.
That's great, man. That's great that you understand that we all have a choice. And tell us how you arrived at that. You know, in your bio, you share some of your background, the trials and tribulations that you went through in your life. So, tell us more about your background and how you arrived at the understanding of that we all have a choice.
What's interesting is that when you move so many times, right? I moved 36 times before graduating high school. You meet all sorts of different people. Yeah. And invariably, you run into people that say something dumb like, it's my way or the highway. And the interesting thing about that statement is it's true for them, but it doesn't have to be true for you. Yeah. I came across the same situation in 3 different places, doing the exact same thing. The person said the exact same phrase, it's my way or the highway, but they were all doing it differently.
No.
And if they have chosen to do it that way and it works for them, great. But that doesn't mean it has to work for you, that it can't work for you, that that's the only way to do it. We get stuck in this place that says this is the only way we can do things, so these are the only things that are available to me. And what that is garbage. That's a lie. People aren't trying to lie to you, but from their experience, where they're coming from, that's the way they see it.
Yeah.
And if they've determined that that's what they're going to do and that's the way they're going to do it and that's the way it's always going to be, then they have decided, right? They've chosen that that's going to be their truth. And it doesn't have to apply to you. It was probably in 4th grade when I got tired of really moving all the time. By that time, I'd already been in almost 9 different schools. Wow. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do and say whatever it is that I want to do. It doesn't matter the relationships that I have here. It doesn't matter what I say, what I do. I'm just going to be a little jerk, And it turns out I was in that same place for 3 years. And I was like, got me immediately. You can't get away with doing and saying whatever you want. We're going to stick you here for a couple of years and let you marinate in your bad decisions. And it's interesting to see that, different people have different kind of impacts in your life. If you look at, stories of the Bible or Christianity, not everyone has the same job. It's not my job to take you from seed to fully grown tree. It's only my job to maybe shine some light, maybe provide some rain, maybe provide some guidance. And throughout the journey, throughout the old people you meet, you end up growing depending on who pours into you. And determining to be around those people is a huge, huge part of my success. Probably the biggest change in my life is when I started hanging out with the people I wanted to be like.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hang around the people that you want to be like. A lot of times people hang around people that they shouldn't be like. And that winds up not turning out too good. And it's good that you understood to hang around the people that you wanted to be like. And so tell us more about your background, if you want to expound some more. What was like dealing with the foster homes, and I don't know how deep you want to get into this murder attempt thing is intriguing me, but I don't know how much you really want to talk about that.
I'm willing to talk about anything that doesn't have me divulging classified information for my job in the Navy. So nothing's off limits. For me, this is obviously not everyone's experiences, but the foster homes for me were an oasis. Wow. They were far, far better than my family life. And that's not the case for everyone. I'm not trying to say that those things don't exist, but in my world, I couldn't have asked to be placed in better homes with people that were more caring. Those are the glimpses I got to see of the quote unquote good life, what family life could and should be, and how to move forward and grow as a person. That was it sucked, right? You never knew where you were gonna lay your head that night, or if you're gonna have a meal, or all these things. It was kindergarten, second grade, fourth grade, and seventh grade. I was at 3 different schools during each of those school years.
Wow.
Which is just mind-blowing. I have a hard enough time registering my kids for the regular school they go to all the time. Having to do it 3 times a year with new addresses, new bills, new all that. I can't even imagine what that was like. That seems like a big, huge pain. But meeting the right people is everything. I feel really bad for a lot of people that are stuck in communities where the mindset is just trash, right? You see these in a lot of inner cities. You see these in a lot of really small towns. You see it in trailer parks and foster homes, which is where I spent most of my time, small towns, trailer parks, and foster homes. There's only one point of view. There's only one vision. And anything that violates that, anything to the contrary, they reject just out of hand because that hasn't been their experience. And it wasn't until my mid 20s, mid to late 20s, where I was like, what? I'm trying to be like the people I'm around, just like everybody is. But the people I'm around are not helping me. They're not helping my career. They're not helping my education. They're not helping my family life. They're not helping my faith. And when I started swapping out those people for people that were taking care of those things, my life immediately changed. My conversations got elevated. My self-esteem got elevated. The things I care about got elevated. I started being a better husband, a better father, a better sailor. I was enlisted in the Navy at the time. And it was an immediate turnaround. And I shot to the top of the rankings. I applied for an officer program. I got accepted. I went to University of Oklahoma down in Norman. Had a great time doing that. Went to flight school. Was able to determine my way to get through that thing. That thing was a monster, far outside my normal ability. And, when I was growing up, I didn't think that any of those things would be a possibility. I never thought I would have 20 grand to my name. I never thought I would own a car. I never thought I would get married, own a house. But by setting that determination and by setting that intention, you can make anything possible.
That's right. That's so true. Yeah, those are great. Those are great words to say. I hope that people really take that in. That you can speak things into existence.
Absolutely.
Growing up in those foster homes, Travis, you were obviously able to make that into a positive situation, and you were fortunate enough to grow up in good foster homes, which that right there, just from what I've always heard about foster homes, that doesn't sound like a very common thing. Uh, like I said, from my understanding, I've heard very few positive stories coming out of the foster home. So I'm very glad that you had a positive experience. What did the moving around and having to meet people over and over again, what did that instill in you? What type of traits did that instill in you that you use now in life that really help you?
I tell you, between the experience with my mother with bipolar disorder, which is the reasons that we moved so much, she would go in and out of treatment, and we'd end up in foster care with a family member. Between that and then always having to be the new guy,
Uh,
it really allowed me to, when I walk into a room or I go in somewhere, I'm immediately comfortable. I can engage as much or as little as I want to that day. I can read a room. I can understand who people are, or at least who they're trying to be,
mm,
what they're trying to project. And I see a lot of situations that a lot of people don't see. We had a gentleman that was living with us for a time, and the girl that he was with convinced everyone at the command, all of his friends, even his parents, that he was some kind of abusive person, that he was doing these terrible things. But
wow.
because of my experience growing up with my mother and my sister in the foster care system, I was able to see exactly what was going on, and was able to help him navigate through that thing. He got out of the Navy. We gathered up all his things and we took him out to West Lafayette, Indiana, where his parents lived, to get him reestablished. And there was a lot of time that he spent healing and working through these things. He got his degree from Purdue. Now he's married and he's working at Lockheed down at Fort Worth. But the situation he was in, there wasn't anyone else there that could have possibly helped him navigate that situation. So
Wow.
even though those experiences were terrible for me growing up, it allowed me to see things that other people just couldn't see.
That's awesome, because like I said, you were able to take that situation and turn it into something very positive, and those things help you now. Being able to, like you said, be the new guy or be in an unfamiliar place and instantly feel comfortable, that has to be something that's really, really valuable and has served you well in life.
It absolutely has, and it can hurt me a little bit because when I meet new people, I'm already acting like I'm their best friend, and they're like, "Man, who
Yeah.
is this guy, and why is he all in my business?" So some people, they're a little off put right away, but they realize that's just how I am, and I'm always me. I'm always who I am, and they're like, I don't know why I had a problem up front. I'm just not used to people just getting in there and being real. I cannot stand. I hate small talk and conversations that have no value. I can do it for 5 or 10 minutes. I can BS or whatever, but like I want to have really valuable
Yeah.
conversations. I know you got a chance to overhear my buddy JC and I were talking about mindset and speaking into the minds, especially of children, because before they're 7, you can implant anything on them. They don't have a filter yet. From 0 to 7, there's no filter. They're just in absorb mode. They're just in download mode. So if you tell them, they can literally speak things into existence, that they can choose their own destiny, and their mindset's going to control everything in their life. If you imprint that in before they're 7, look out. You can't stop them. Good luck. Get out of their way. But if you instill into a young kid before they're 7 that they're worthless, or that someone else is responsible for all their problems, or whatever the thing is, they're going to carry that through adulthood, through most of their life, until they actually sit down and address some of these things, because they don't have a filter yet. They just take in whatever it is that you give them. And I love having conversations with JC, because every time we have a conversation together, we both feel elevated. We both feel like we learned something. And that is the only type of person I keep in my inner circle.
That's great. Like I think Les Brown says, "O OQP, only quality people."
Yeah. Only quality people. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. You have to, when you're trying to cultivate and maintain a certain mindset of positivity. You have to do that. You have to filter out the people and the things that don't serve that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like some people they have problems with that. Well, this is my family, or this is this, or and if they're not, at least my opinion, if they're a negative impact on you, you have to do something about that.
No amount of shared DNA allows you or gives you permission to be toxic in my life.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Us sharing DNA doesn't give you the right, the privilege, or the the audacity to treat someone like that. My sister has been out of our life for a couple of years now because she has no interest in behaving like a decent human being. And just because she's my sister doesn't mean she has any kind of special privilege to keep coming in and destroying my life. I run into this thing with ladies all the time that don't want to set and enforce boundaries. If you're a gal and you're affected by what I'm saying right now, you have the right to be nice to yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're being mean to them, you're being nice to you, and that's perfectly okay. Not your best friend, not your mother, not your sister, not anyone that's related to you or anyone in your world has the right to treat you like garbage. You have the right to stand up and say, I'm not okay with this kind of behavior. Yeah. And if you want to act right and be my friend or my sister or my mother or whomever, you can, but I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior anymore.
Yeah, like you say, you have to set those boundaries.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Tell us more about your work with the nonprofits. You looks like you've done a lot here, and I want to know about this book also. This book by the vets. That sounds intriguing.
Well, Books by Vets is no longer a thing. It's now a program under Creative Literary Consultants. When I first was getting into nonprofit work, when I finally got out of that scarcity mode, that survival mode, I wanted to do something, to give back, to help, and I wanted to be part of the community. And I didn't have any idea what it meant to be part of the community. So I asked around. I was like, hey, what do you do to be part of the community? And they're like, well, people in the community, they give, they sign up for events, they volunteer, they give money, they serve on boards, they take an active role in the community. And I started having some of these conversations. And I just showed up with a good attitude, willing to help. And that can take you a long way in life. Showing up, great attitude, willing to help. And I showed up to a Chamber of Commerce event that didn't have a business. I just showed up like I always do, to a bunch of people I don't know. And I brought my bowling bag. I was like, maybe someone's going to show up and they're going to need a fourth bowler at this event. And sure enough, they did. And they got put on a team. I got to meet a great group of people. And at the end of it, Jamie, the gal that brought me there, she's like, oh, hey, Travis, you're in the Navy, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, I got a friend of mine putting together a book, 22 different authors. I wonder if she still has a room. If you want to be, are you interested? Heck yeah, I'm interested. So I went from being not even involved in the community to like 2 months later being a published author with this program, Books by Vets. And I loved it so much. I thought it was so cool with what they were doing. I was like, what do you need? You need volunteers? Do you need donors? Do you need board members? Like, what do you need? She's like, actually, I'm looking for board members. And they brought me on and we helped build this thing up. We ran it for a couple of years, helped get nearly 50 veterans and first responders published, which is so cool. We had our first big book was Walk with Warriors. It's available on Amazon. Shannon Whittington is the author. And also the follow-up, Resilient Warriors, same author. Both stories from 22 different veterans sharing their story. I'm in the first one, and the second one is all female veterans. You want to hear some gut-wrenching stories, go ahead and check that out. That is some impossible things to read and listen to, but Shannon still runs Creative Literary Consultants, and Books by Vets is a program she gives at discounts to veterans that want to become authors. But I had just a fantastic time doing that. And that same connection, Jamie from the first thing got me involved in the Shine Foundation here in Oklahoma City, and we did concerts. Wanda Jackson, Merle Haggard, B.J. Thomas, Alan Parsons Project, Chris Christopherson, Jody Miller. Had a great time doing that. Raised a ton of money, and then I got stationed over in Bahrain, this island-looking spear thing over here in the Middle East, and I couldn't, actively do my nonprofit work. And someone's like, well, I was like, what can I do to keep doing great nonprofit stuff? And someone's like, you should start a podcast. And I was like, really, a podcast? She's like, yeah, you can't shut up. You always talking about something. You might as well record it. You've got that great, smooth, buttery voice that the ladies love. So you could start that up and have some good conversations. And I looked around, and there wasn't anyone really having conversations that I saw to help start up nonprofits, to really give them the how-to details. I think there's a couple of how-to shows now, but At the time, I didn't find anything, so I thought that would be a great way to start a conversation. So I went from no audience. I didn't have a group yet. I didn't have all this stuff that they tell you to start with. And we're not even 2 years in. And I've already been ranked number 4 in the US, number 6 in Canada, number 1 in Singapore, number 3 in Switzerland, having a great time with it. I think I'm in 56 countries right now. I'm on like 50 different podcast apps and channels and all the stuff. And, really having a great time with it. Steve Owsley from Podcast Magazine did a feature on veterans last November. They said, hey, who are the top 25 veteran-hosted podcasts? And we got ranked in at number 11, which was just crazy. I'm still active duty, doing all the fun stuff that I'm doing. Love meeting people, hearing their stories. The best thing about hosting a podcast is everyone's excited to talk to you, right? Like, I know, everyone's excited to talk to you, which has been so much fun. And one of the secrets that people don't share is, when you're a podcaster and you interview someone, you get to ask them anything you want. So like I'm interviewing Steve Sims from Blue Fishing later today. And instead of paying for his, I don't know, $50,000 masterclass or whatever, because I'm going to have him on my show, I get to ask him whatever I want to for free, which I just love meeting and expanding my network, learning from new people and finding out something, that I didn't know. I absolutely love it. I love being a guest on shows. And again, thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to have you. You have a great story. The important thing that to me comes out of what you just went through, what you said about the nonprofit. All this happened just by you showing up. You said you just showed up at the Chamber of Commerce with no business, and everything else took off from there.
Yeah. There's a lot you can do, but you can't do anything unless you show up.
You got to show up.
Got to show up. Everything
doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be in place.
No, you don't want to be perfect. You know what they did to the last guy that was perfect? They crucified him. You don't want to be perfect. That sounds terrible. Don't be perfect. Imperfect action is going to get you a long way. You got an idea, you got a concept, have a conversation, get started. I got people I talked to before I started my show that were talking about starting a show. Here it is, more than 2 years after I talked to them, they're still thinking about starting a show.
Yeah.
Why?
Keep on thinking about it.
Keep on thinking about it. That paralysis by overanalysis is going to kill you. I learned a long time ago that knowing is only half the battle.
That's the battle, yeah.
The other half is action, because it doesn't matter if you can solve world hunger if you don't do anything about it. It doesn't matter if you can solve race relations in the U.S. if you never do anything about it. It doesn't matter what attention you bring to whatever thing if you're not going to take steps to solve it. Don't get my attention and then not do anything with it. Don't walk into my office with a problem. Walk into my office with solutions.
Yeah.
What 3 things do you want to look at to attack the thing that you're talking about? Oh, you don't have any solutions? Well, you're just complaining. You're just a whiner. That doesn't help nobody. That don't help me. That don't help you. That don't help the people you're concerned about. Come with solutions. It might not be a fully fleshed out, solution, but come with something. People don't realize that the vision and the goal, the vision's at the top of the mountain. The goals are the steps, and the winds whipping around you. Those are the different strategies you tried to implement on the way up to the top, because the strategies are going to change. But you better keep that vision locked on.
Yeah, that is so awesome that you said that, Travis, because I think that's where people get tripped up a lot. We get tripped up on the how so much that it takes our focus off of the why, off of the goal. And a lot of times people, if the way that they have to achieve that goal is something that they don't like, they won't even start. You're getting tripped up on the how. There's so many different hows. You don't have to get tripped up on any particular how. Just stay focused.
You go hop out in your car and grab the steering wheel and try to turn it. How hard is it to change directions while you're sitting still?
Yeah,
it's hard. But once you get going, making those little turns, those little adjustments, that's easy. Make that first step. Make that hardest step is always the first one. Get started, and you can change from there. You can adjust from there. You can get motivation, encouragement there. You can learn new skills and tips and tricks along the way. You can get the right mentor. And even though you were heading in the wrong direction when you started, at least you got moving. And from there, you can change paths and get to your goal.
Now you're in the Navy.
Still am.
A Navy ship. Is it always exactly on course?
Oh no.
Exactly.
No. Yeah, I fly for the Navy right now. We change direction and course all the time. You get to the right altitude, and they're like, well, hey, we've got like 3 other planes on that same course and the same altitude. Why don't you come down to 330? Okay. You go down there, you're flying at 330, and like, hey, whatever call sign, hey, turn right heading XYZ, because we've got someone else going on right there. Hey, perfect, no problem. You change course the whole time you're there. You got to adjust for winds, you got to adjust for all sorts of different reasons, traffic and areas that are mapped out for special training missions and stuff over the U.S. You got to change direction all the time. Doesn't mean you're not going to get there. You drive a straight line from your house to Walmart, or you got to make a couple of turns along the way.
Couple of turns, couple of stops. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, that's the part that because I also focus on mindset, and the things that you're saying, the things that you've experienced. I want people to understand, when you have a goal, when you're setting out to do something, you're going to change course. You're going to have stops. You're going to have delays. These, that's part of the deal. That's the contract you sign when you start out on that goal. You sign a contract verbally or whatever, spiritually, whatever. That's part of the deal.
Yep, that's part of the deal. A lot of the stuff that happened to me growing up, right? I had nothing to do with. I was the victim in that moment, but I had the choice whether or not I was going to stay the victim. Right. I couldn't change what happened to me, young, small kid. I'm not very young anymore, but still a little short. But I didn't have a choice what happened to me in that moment, but I had the choice of how I was going to react to it, how I was going to respond to it, how I was going to feel about later. And if it's bothering you and you're not taking action on it, you're just hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself, and the hurt you is hurting people around you. You got to get that stuff taken care of. There's people that have my same situation. They go to one foster home, they move, twice, they do like all of these things, and it handicaps them for the rest of their life. They've chosen to stay in that victim cycle and allow that mentality to rule them. And you see it on the U.S., turn on the news anywhere.
Yeah.
You see very few people going, you know what, I made a mistake. That's my fault. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to move forward. You see a lot of people doing it. It's the fault of this person, this economy, this elected official, this immigrant, this weather, this doesn't get you nothing. This doesn't get you anywhere. Never has anyone advanced in any facet of life by doing this. It's only when they take responsibility for the things that they can control and say, you know what, I have been putting too much crap in my mouth. I need to fix that. You know what? It is my fault. I haven't been sleeping enough. I've been staying out too late, hanging around with the wrong people. You know what? It is my fault for going to the bar, for going to the casino, for picking up a pack of smokes. It is my fault for whatever the thing is.
Yeah, gotta take the
That's okay. That's okay. That's your fault. But you can choose right now in this moment to do it differently. You can say right now, I've had enough. I'm done with it. Not doing it right now. Oh, that smoke that you got to go get at 10 o'clock at night, you got to run across town to get smokes. You're letting your habit control you. Your habit, your desire for that smoke is taking you across town at 10 o'clock at night. Come on. Choose right now to say, I'm done with that crap. I can't do it anymore. It's not who I am. It's not helping me do with the things I need to do. I need to take control of my life and move forward today.
Awesome, man. I want people, this is what I really want people to get out of this conversation we're having. That, as Travis said right from the beginning, you have a choice. It may not be the easiest choices you have to make, but I like to say, replace easy with necessary.
Yep.
It may not be easy, but it's necessary.
The concepts may be simple, but maybe not easy to implement, and that's okay. You talk about the 3 Ds for success. Let me tell you about the 3 Ds of leadership. Delegate, delegate, disappear. Tell them what you want them to do. Make sure they're capable of doing it. Get the heck out of the way and let them do it.
Let them do it. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, let the time pass by a little faster. The time went by fast, man. We're at 30 minutes. I want everybody to know how to get in contact with you so that if they want to start a nonprofit, that they know to come to you. You can help them out. And thank you for your service. I was in the Marines, so being a vet is something that carries a certain responsibility and honor to it. So thank you for your service, and let everybody know how to get in contact with you so that they can know about how to start a nonprofit.
Hey, absolutely. You can go to my website right here in the picture, nonprofitarchitect.org. We've got some resources there for you. We've got some podcasts. We've got the Nonprofit Podcast Network if you're looking into nonprofit work. If you were in the Marine Corps like old Sid was, or in the Navy like me, you know that 85 to 95% of your time is spent training and practicing. But somehow in the nonprofit world, we say we don't have time for that stuff. That's a reason why you're not getting to where you need to. Check out the podcast, Nonprofit Architect Podcast, or any of the great shows we have on that network. Or if you're a veteran like Sid, and actually I need to add you to this, it's free to join the Veteran Podcast Network, also at the same website. There's like 21 other great veteran-hosted shows. Talks about all sorts of things, overcoming recovery, relationships, business, all sorts of great things. Check that out, nonprofitarchitect.org. I'm on all the social. If you search Nonprofit Architect, you're going to find me. Heck, if you put Nonprofit Architect Podcast in Google, the first 3 pages of Google are going to be this guy. So if you can't find me, I just can't help you. But if you're interested in starting a nonprofit, want to start it successfully, or if you want to start a podcast, if you want to be the host with the most like Sid and me, let me know too. We've got done for you services, done with you services, or we'll give you a guide that lets you do it on your own. Absolutely connect with me, nonprofitarchitect.org, or send me an email at nonprofitarchitect@gmail.com.
All right. Thanks, Travis. It's been great having you on. And this is Sid Owsley from the Determination Determines Destination podcast, the 3 Ds to Success. Be sure to check out my website, sidowsley.com, where there is a free gift you can pick up about aligning your values with your goals, which is very important. When you set goals, you want to make sure that they align with your values, because if they don't, then you're not really in the flow of achieving your goals. So be sure to check that out on sidowsley.com. Also, check out my YouTube channel that features the live stream episodes of the podcast episodes. The YouTube channel is Sid Owsley 3D to Success, as well as the actual podcast is on Spotify, the 3 Ds to Success. Want to thank you. Thank Travis for being on. This is Sid Owsley. I'm out. Have a great day.
Thanks, Sid.